Good morning. I would like to call this meeting to order on the bond rate and the millage rate hearing. And we'll have a word of prayer and then we'll do the pledge. So let's pray. Father, thank you for this day and for your blessings. God, I thank you for the school system, the administrators, God, those that are teaching our students, God, the administration that's willing to serve. God, I thank you for this board. I ask today that you would give us wisdom, that you would lead us and guide us in the best decisions for this school. Bless this day in Jesus' name. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we'll begin with our millage rate, bond rate hearing.
Okay. Good morning to each and every one of you. Thank you for taking time out to come and be with us this morning as we discuss our millage rate. What we'll do is we'll have reports from me, and then after I finish, we'll entertain anything from this board of questions, and then we'll entertain you guys if you have anything to say or any questions you have for us. At this time, we'll ask Mr. Norman, our CFO, to come forward and give us our budget information.
So our budget here is strictly based on our projected revenues before this millage hearing. So the 5.3 million of local taxes was what we estimated to collect before any of this. That was if we accepted the complete rollback rate of 13.5 something. Through everything else, all the changes with the state, all the mandates that they pushed on us this year, we are a little over 300K in the red. I'm not sure what else to add.
I have a question for him.
Okay. Our 5-year tax digest hearing is posted for you, and as you can see, over the last few years, our tax digest has increased significantly, which is why we're here today. Property values have increased. Homeowners have done something, made additions. They built new homes. There's some, the tax commissioner calls it inflations. The homeowners didn't do anything, and we still gained funds. So from last year, 2023, you see we've grown from 367 million to 421 million. And again, that's based on the tax assessors appraising our properties. So there's been a huge increase in our tax base. Last year, our millage rate was at 15.079. Year before, we raised the millage rate 2 mills to the 15.079, and there was an increase last year of 18.88. So here we are today discussing the millage rate again. Next. So here is the rollback rate and percentage increase document. This is a document that we get from our local tax assessors. The second column, of course, we just talked about it, is the 2023 digest. And there you see the 367,107,333 number. The second column is the reassessment. That column is what's described as the homeowners did nothing. That was inflation. So 41,567,110 was the inflationary number. The other column, other changes to the taxable digest, that's something we did as homeowners. We built new homes, we made additions, we improved our property, and that was another 12 million, almost $13 million. So those two added together gives us our final digest of $421,172.890. So that's the increase in our tax digest. So a total of $54 million in increases. So again, on this document, you'll see our last year's millage rate was 15.079. And then based on this reassessed value, there was a 1.44 millage rate rollback, and the proposed rollback, total rollback, is 13.591. I'll go ahead and say it now. If our millage rate goes below 14, we will not be eligible for equalization. I'm gonna go ahead and say that since we're here on this page. If we go below 14, we will not receive the funding from the equalization grant, which this year gave us $575,000 added to our budget. So if we go below 14, we will not receive the 575, which then again, that could be a cost to taxpayers. Okay. So then, we gave the board several options to look at, assuming the full rollback to the 13.591, or where we are, assuming a 1 mil rollback, that would be 14.079, and then half a mil rollback, and then no rollback. Looking at the half mil rollback, you see that the county could bring in an additional $604,000.668. Since we pay the tax commissioner's office 2%, and then of course some taxes that don't come in, we're looking to bring in $586,520 with a half mil rollback, which again, we are decreasing. We're looking to decrease our millage rate. But because some of your properties may have increased, even though we decrease, it still may be a tax increase to you. But this board is looking at decreasing the millage rate for the school maintenance and operation budget. So what does that look like? If we just go to the half mil rollback down at the bottom, Mr. Williams. So let's just say, I'm gonna do the 250 to 275,000 example. Right now, if your home was worth 250,000 and it went up 25,000 to 275,000, you can see the difference in the amount that you would pay from last year at the 15.079 mils versus if we roll back a half mil to 14.591. So that's a difference of $97.11 with our rollback, but it increased to your property. So if you look at $97 divided by 12, that's a total of $8 a month for this particular tax owner. And this does not include the $2,000 homestead exemption. So your taxes last year would have been $1,500, this year $1,605, so a difference of $97. So that's just one example I want to show you. The next page. This page just kind of is just another way of looking at it. So the top of this page is all the 15.079, the current millage rate of how much the value of your home times the assessed value, 40%, and then for all homesteads of $2,000. So of course, if your house is $375, the assessed value is 40% of that, and then the value of a $375,000 house assessed at 40% is $150,000, less the $2,000 homestead exemption, and then your house then now taxes would be $2,231. If you look down at that same house that the millage rate decreases for $375, it would be $2,157. So I just kind of want to show you in two different scenarios how this would look, and again, I'll entertain any questions afterwards. Some people question what are the other counties surrounding us, what are their millage rates, and of course, we show you this to let you know that Lincoln County is in the middle as it looks between this in the CSRA. Right now, we're at 15.079, and as you can see, because we've heard how is our neighboring counties, Wilkes, Warren, McDuffie, and you can see from this chart their millage rates as we speak. Okay. We talked a little bit about equalization earlier. Equalization is pretty much playing the level field. So a town next door to you could be, I'm gonna make up a number, $2,000 per kid, but it's because of their tax base, and then the county next to them could be $5,000 per kid. So the state has this formula that says, hey, we're gonna equalize that. So this is what equalization does for us. It is a complicated formula. We can't figure it because it's based on every county's digest. And Lincoln County does not have everybody's digest right now. So when the digest is approved by every county and school organization, then someone takes that information and then they put it in a formula, and then we're divided up all 180 counties. Last year, Lincoln County ranked number 67. in that list, in that ranking. Counties 1 through 53, which are considered wealthy counties, they receive $0. Counties 54 through 180 receive some monies. So as you can see, Lincoln County, we're kind of on that edge from 54 to 67. So we really want to maintain our standing and make sure we receive those federal funds of $575,000, over $500,000. So we still want to continue to do that, or be in position to do that. This is just our earnings sheet from our QBE. The state has a formula, and these are the funds that we receive from state government. Mr. Williams, let's go to the bottom. We receive $9,933,617 from the state. Of that money, you'll see the line items, the 575, 752, which is equalization. You'll see $45,000 they give us for nursing. We get some sparsity money and pupil transportation. But this document tells us exactly how many teachers the state is going to fund, how many principals the state is going to fund, how many secretaries. And so when we get all that information, that's our state money that comes to us. And of course, we have federal monies that help offset some costs, and we have federal and state and federal monies to help offset our local dollars. I share that with you. If anybody wants a conversation about it, we can explore just talking about how special ed plays a factor and how gifted plays a factor in remedial and the amount of money that comes for those particular kids, because those funding weights are different. Every district in the state of Georgia earns money for a superintendent and 2 assistant superintendents. Every school system. And you see we earn all 3 of our principals. So those funds come to our district. Teachers, administrators who have advanced degrees, the state sends us additional monies for those people, and that's called training and experience money on top of what they already send us. And so that significantly increases our budget of hiring people with degrees and experience. And the last sheet. So the document, the QBE sheet I just showed you, they also break it down even further on another sheet called the salary and operation details, and it tells how much money is being given for each position. And I guess a lot of people have never seen this document and may not understand it, but this governs us as leaders to know how much we receive for each position. All right, that's all I have. Any questions from the board?
Anybody? Good. All right. At this time, we'll entertain any questions or any statements from the floor. We'd like you to stand and state your name, and then you have 3 minutes. So, do we have anybody that would like to address the board? Okay.
Okay. Did y'all approve the budget? The way we're looking at it here, did you approve it based on what you saw with the ambiguous titles that we don't really know what all fits under? Well, like, for example, other uses and transfers out. What does that mean? Business services, I mean, I can gather what school admin means. What is the difference between general admin and school admin? I just wrote down on here the amount that those went up from last year. So I'm just wondering if y'all voted on it with an ambiguous budget, or if you had it like itemized, like this money is going towards food, this is going towards new plates, this is going towards whatever. What responsibilities and authority does the board itself have? Because when I was talking to Jim Madison, he was real quick to say, well, you know, the state mandates certain things, and so then it just made me wonder, what exactly can y'all do? Let's see, and then I just want to point out that times are hard for everybody. We know this. I mean, everything costs more: gas, groceries, everything else. And I realize that means the food and the gas costs more for the students as well. One thing I pointed out last time that everybody laughed in my face was that The kids who live in this area right here could walk from school, and that would definitely save some gas. And before y'all say, oh my God, that's unrealistic, my daughter lived in Idaho. Their children, if they lived within a mile of the school, they walked to school, even in the snow. They don't do snow days. They do blizzard days, if the temperature's gonna be below 0, they do those kinds of days. So it's not, maybe we would cut down on childhood obesity if some of the kids walked home from school, I don't know. Seems a legitimate thing. But we are paying more in taxes, and I don't know about that chart, and I'm gonna call the tax assessor and ask some questions, because my taxes went up on my house and my 5.6 acres, $1,000 for the year. Not $187 or whatever's on there, so I mean, I don't know how y'all look, but that makes me wanna vomit. I do homeschool, I'm gonna put that out there real quick, I do homeschool. I still have a say because I'm still being taxed to fund the school system, so I still have a say. And the other thing is, Jim asked me, would I want to see the school bankrupt? No, I don't want to see the school bankrupt. But when everybody in the county ends up bankrupt, the school will follow. I mean, it's just it's a natural thing. And I feel like, I see y'all talking about lowering the millage rate, which is a beautiful thing. But we need to figure out ways to cut the budget. I mean, there's waste, there's waste. And whenever it's government, any money that the government has, that the government gives, whether it's special education grants or whatever these grants are, the government has no money except for the money that it takes from us. All tax dollars are from us. And so when, maybe we should step back. We didn't take any money when Alan was out of work for 2 months with COVID because GI clinics weren't necessary. We lived off savings. We refused to take the money. I refuse to be a further burden on our country. And I feel like Lincoln County should work on that as well. And if I still have time, I want to ask a question that I wrote down from what y'all just said. And you can answer when you can. What state mandates were added? If we raise our taxes, if we're bringing in more revenue, won't that make us one of the wealthier counties and less eligible for the additional funds? And if the state says they will send money for this many superintendents and this many principals and whatever else, do we come up with money out of our own pockets here in the county to support those? So are we creating positions just because we have the potential to bring in more money from the state? Thank you.
Okay. A lot of questions you threw at us. So every month, the CFO gives a report to this board on the budget, on every line item, and the board can ask him questions that he answers those questions. So yes, your first question, every single month, we do that. And throughout the year, if there's a call meeting, if they have questions, we do have, I think 1 or 2 years ago, we had an expert come in and just do financials with us so that this board can understand where that money is coming from. So yes, we do that, and it's ongoing. Each board member must have 6 hours of continuing education every single year, and we can determine what that education looks like. So yes, they do receive reports on funding. Maybe next year I'll ask for questions in advance so I can have it ready for you, but yes, there are a lot of unfunded mandates. We laugh around education that the governor or whoever could say, do this program, but they don't send money for it. But we have to do the program because it's in law. And so I don't have a list of those unfunded mandates at this point, but there are a lot of unfunded mandates. And then some of those mandates require people, because again, if they want us to execute and do something, you have to have people to do it. Transportation, yes, ma'am. I lived right across the street, and there were some days I did walk to school. However, a bus came right by my house just in case it had to turn. So we really look at transportation and going across the street, and from here, I don't know that it would burn that much gas if they're going to come by it anyway. But I get your point. But Fred Scott is our transportation director, and Carla Matthews is his assistant, and we kind of look at those reports. We look at fuel costs, and I will tell you, this district has gone 100% propane, and you're talking the tax savings. So this board looks at that information when even buying buses. And I don't have the number. Fred Scott came and talked about the biggest difference. I think propane was $1 and something per gallon.
Like $1.70.
And in diesel, it's like almost $4. So look at how much we're saving by this board making that decision to go propane. So I want you guys to know that they are making these decisions and doing what's best for us. So again, a lot of districts who are weary about propane, the unknown of propane versus we've always used diesel and gas. But this board propane is safe now. And this board went ahead and made that decision. So those are ways we are saving. Yes, every meeting we're talking about saving. All of our meetings are online. You can go back and look at all of our meetings, and you will hear this board talk about saving and how can we cut. It is my responsibility as a CFO of this district to make sure we continue to make cuts. And I'm a taxpayer. I live here. I was born and raised. I love it. So I want to make sure my taxes are as low as it can be. And as long as I'm here, there won't be any waste. I'm a very detailed person with budgets, so I'm going to make sure I look at line items. I'm going to go to the principals. I'll walk down and cut down the thermostats. I'll make sure if I see something to turn it off. So that's the kind of leadership you have now and in this place to make sure that we cut costs as much as we can. If I see we don't need positions, that's my job to recommend to this board. And we are doing that. We talked about cutting the budget, state mandates. Equalization. I don't know what Wilkes County is doing, or Richmond County, and how their tax digest either goes up or down. I will say I just left a new superintendent orientation, and everybody's taxes, the tax digest is increasing. So those who showed up, if theirs is increasing, ours increasing, we still stand a good chance, if everybody's increasing, to be where we are and continue to receive equalization. But I can't tell you that we will or we won't. But we don't know that right now. I think we'll know equalization maybe in January, February, where we stand.
March, I think.
Marchish. So we don't know. That's an unknown. And there is a complicated formula. And I guarantee you, if you go Google equalization, and I've done it, you won't see anything on it. We get it when you get it, and we share it with you guys of every county and how much they receive in equalization. Now, I feel that shouldn't be a secret, but that's something we always get late in the year. And then creating positions, we don't just create positions just for the sake of it. I will say several years ago, I was very impressed with this board when we looked at adding a first grade teacher several years ago. And I was a high school principal at the time. And of course, I was like, that's not gonna help us at the high school. I want the money for the high school. Why are we to give it to the elementary school? And that's when we found out we had some issues with literacy, and we need to strengthen our literacy programs so that when they do come to me at the high school, they will be at or right at grade level. So understanding here what you do makes and that decision impacts every grade level. So that's why when we create positions, we're going to do the research, and we're going to make sure we need it, and I can assure you that. And this board is holding me accountable for all those decisions. And then you hold them accountable by the questions so that we can research this information to make sure that we are making the right and the best decision. Yes, sir.
Additional costs, that's another question. Insurance, she has additional costs.
Oh, yeah, so those are some things that, the state could, I'll let Mr. Norman talk about, but the increase in state health on our non-certified. So when you hear the governor gives us a lot of money or gives money, most time he gives money to the certified staff. But we have bus drivers, parapros, nutrition workers who are not certified, that money doesn't come in, and then we have to help offset that cost with local dollars to pay for those increases in insurance. Mr. Norman.
So last year, our non-certs insurance went from $945 per person per month to $1195. This year it went from $1195 to $1580 per person per month.
And I assure you, there are conversations. Do we need this many? So do we need this many? And so.
But the state's only paying for the certified.
Yes.
But we have to pay for the non-certified.
So one thing Dr. Gomez said, I think you may have heard and may have, in every earned position we don't fund. We don't have 2 assistant superintendents. We don't have an additional sped director. That's 3 people doing 4 jobs. So when he said he earned it. He didn't say we hired for all those positions. So every position is not filled that we need, let's say that, or we should have to operate in the most, to operate in a way that doesn't put an extra burden. But it's not, he said we earned it, not that we
fill every single of one of those positions on the list. But because those are maybe the higher paid positions, that's what people target. So we wanna make sure not every one of those positions is filled.
It's about 85% teacher salary, 85% of our total
Almost
budget.
88 now. 88 to 90% of this budget is people. So I'm able to help cut those 10 to 12% in cost, in supplies, in software, utility bills. And I can use Ms. Collins as an example. Ms. Collins was our CTA director. They only paid at the time, I think, they went from a half-time to a quarter-time, but you best believe Ms. Collins was a full-time person, but the state only sent us, or she was able to apply for only a quarter of it based on our population. So you can see the state will send this, but the work is much greater than what they send a lot of times.
Thank you, ma'am, for your question. Anyone else? Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I've done a lot of research about y'all's meal restriction, the 14. So I know that the state, well, first of all, my name's Janet Dukes, and I appreciate all you do, because I know it's not easy. But the House, you know, it's said exactly what's happening in Lincoln County. They were trying to pass that House Bill 987, and Dr. Howard explained to me that the Senate didn't pass it, but they were trying to lower the 14 to the 10. Well, I know we wouldn't go to 10 anyway, but because of the situation of where we stand. But our property taxes went up as well, over $1,000 from last year, which was for the school part, 11.5%. Well, the county went up 4%, which is kind of a little more digestible and acceptable. So at the 13, it's 4% again. I know per your budget, you're mentioning we're in a deficit. Well, it's hard for the county residents to understand how you're gonna be in a deficit when our taxes have extremely gone up, and new housing and everything else. So what in the budget, I understand salaries and I understand it's, you know, medical and benefits, but what really is our problem if this is gonna be ongoing? I mean, are we gonna continue to have deficits? Did we have deficit last year, or are we collecting enough? But I guess my biggest request to the board is, since we can't go below 14, why can't we make it 14 and not 14.579? Where would that stand then with our deficit? But the 13.5 is not possible because of what we need. But it's hard for us to year dread the fact that we're gonna go up 1,000 again, 1,000 again. Because they've gone up every year, but this year it's definitely gone up. So I guess my question is, would you reconsider, I didn't catch it, but I think you had a 14 up there, maybe a 14.79. Where did we stand then? And that would maybe appease the kind of the burden that we're facing throughout the county, to go at least to the limit where we won't lose the equalization.
So I'll talk and I'll let Mr. Oh, go ahead.
So, the second day that I took over, we passed a $2.3 million deficit for the FY24 budget. We're now in FY25. It seems weird, but that's just the way the school budgets work. We increased 2 meals last year, which gave us an extra $750K. 2.3 million minus $750K is still not enough money. We managed to come out almost break even because we cut everything we could last year. We really can't cut anything else. We just tried to get by last year. It was a very tough year. You can ask our maintenance director, you can ask our principals. We cut everything we could to save. So now we are at a $300,000 deficit, which is $2 million out of the budget, other than the $750 we increased. And if we do not do anything this year, we're going to do the same thing. We're just going to get by on the skin of our teeth. So the second, we can't improve anything if we do not do anything. We cannot make any improvements in the school. All we can do is function
So that higher tax base, which did go up a lot, times the millage, I feel that you should be receiving more money than what you're anticipating, even at 14. Because, I mean, it's, some things are out of control, I mean, uncontrollable on your part, because you can't change the 1,500 a month for health
Absolutely,
insurance and
yes.
things that we were stuck
Yeah.
with. And we also, the Senate said the reason they didn't pass that bill that I read is they think it should come from the other side, which is out of your control, the assessment. So, you know, I mean, we're kind of stuck with it, so why can't we just put the 14 down, see where it comes, I mean, with the funds coming in,
The,
and help everybody, I mean, let us not have that.
Here is the second part of that too. So the tax estimate you got, it wasn't actually a tax bill you received in the mail. That was a tax estimate. That included no rollback for anything. That was not for the county, for the development authority, or for the school. So I'm pretty sure the county's rolling back, and I'm pretty sure the development
No, I got
authority.
an updated bill, I got an
You did?
updated bill, and it went.
With this half a mil
With
rollback?
the 15, or 30, I mean, I got it right now.
mm,
They sent me an updated because I questioned something with the appeal. And I got on this updated bill, 14.579 for the school and .007396 for the county. And this says it's updated.
Yeah, they were estimating, I guess, estimating what we're going to do or proposing
Yeah,
to do,
we
so they
haven't
gave you
anybody
that
voted
number
yet.
already.
yeah.
So with that, I'm up 11, I was up 15.5 with the school, now I'm up 11.5 with the school. And that, knowing if I'm up that much, almost everybody else is up that much, that's a lot of money extra coming in and maybe to cover some of your thing, but with the base of the county just so large now, we should be in good enough shape to leave it at 14, if that's our minimum, without losing that equalization.
Every year, we just never know. Again, but that hit us hard with the non-certs on their health insurance. That was just a big chunk that we had to eat, and next year, we don't know what to expect, so.
And who do we contact about how that is affecting the Senate, the state, the Board of Education at Atlanta?
You've hit them all.
It's just
Yeah.
crazy because being in the business world too, usually when a premium goes up, you know, a little bit more gets paid by the employee. Well, that's not the case in the school system. The school has to eat it, which is our tax.
Yeah.
A lot of this is, the board was operating on borderline for a long time. Went for 8 years and the millage rate never increased. Well, you know, naturally, nobody said anything because your taxes wasn't going up as far as the school, everything was staying like it was. And then all of a sudden, it kind of hit us. You know, if we roll back, if we don't do the half mil and we do a full mil rollback, that's only $200,000. We're operating on about a $20 million budget. We're trying to maintain what we need. We've already dipped into some of our reserve funds, which I'm not crazy about doing, because, you know, I want to make sure that we have reserve funds for any kind of problem, any kind of accident, anything that happens. We want to make sure we got reserve funds there. But we are dipping into those some because we have been in the red, $300-something thousand last year. And so we're trying to maintain, and as we looked at this budget, as this board sat down and looked at this budget, we felt like, and I don't know if, can you pull those numbers back up? I think it was 182 and 3, forget which sheet.
One after that.
Yeah,
On this one.
yeah, right there. Yeah, the full rollback, we'd only get 182,000. The 1 mil rollback, we get 382. The half a mil, we get 586. And we felt like the 200,000 for the 586 is what we needed to maintain. And I think a lot of the issue has come from the fact that we have worked on the edge for so long, and now we're trying to maintain. Another thing that I would love to see, and I don't know how to go about doing it, or if any of you know, I know some of you live on the lake. We get impact aid from the government, from the federal government. We get $250,000 impact aid every year, if we get it. Normally we do. And that is for all the land that the Corps owns. And if you can show me where all the land that the Corps owns in this county, and the only amount of tax we should receive on that is $250,000, I'd like to see the numbers.
I have some information on that,
Okay.
because I was here at the last board meeting, my name's Julie Livingston, and I'm not disputing any of your figures. I'm here for one thing, and I was very concerned about the age-specific exemption, like a lot of the counties, and I just pulled out of the hat, Columbia and Richmond, no comparing to Lincoln. But they do have age-related tax exemptions. Richmond County's 65, there's only 2 counties that have that. The others are 70. So I'm in that senior group I'm working. But I did get on the phone and I did what you said on the last meeting, and of course I got it bombarded on social media. It's a generic letter coming from Rick, Allen, and, then probably 2 days later, Senator Ossoff. And I'm very concerned about that money, and it's there. And I'll tell you why, I'm a huge national parks person. If they drop that bill in 2025 and put that national park, is it Oak Mowgli? I'm saying it wrong.
Okomoji.
Yeah, Oak Mowgli, it's the Indian Mound one. Well, they're gonna get all that fairy dust down there in that county. I think it's Bibb County. And then I looked up the Liberty County, and I'm like, what are they spreading up there for $953,000, $953,000 or whatever it was? I don't have them in front of me. I left them on my notebook. Well, it's Fort Stewart. So yes, you're right about the quarter near property. And it would be a godsend if you could get it and get it paid, so you would have that too.
I'd like to know what that amount would be.
And I also have a friend, I have a lot of engineering friends, but I have a friend who actually went to school with the project manager on that impact aid. And I'm gonna ask him why this money isn't coming here for that. And I'll tell you, I wanna see the beautiful shoreline. I didn't come up here for the lake. I married a southern guy, he likes to fish. I came up here for the clean air. 10 years ago, you know, the article in Lincoln County having, like in the top 5 in Georgia, clean air. And I hope we stay like that. So there again, I mean, I know you people have big things planned, and I want to see them. I'm not going anywhere. I have a granddaughter that was born here, so, you know, she's already told me, you're not selling this place. So there you have it. I'm trying to find funds, and that's an important fund, and I think it would relieve the taxpayers, the senior taxpayers, and so forth. And it's not a quick fix. This would be years down the road, but it's worth looking into.
Right.
So, and I've already started that. So we just have to wait for the phone calls to come in.
And I think that,
Woods, the state superintendent, I got a call into him too. So we'll see.
and I think that a lot of that's going to change is in the future. Like you say, it's an ongoing process. I think some of that, you know, if you look back at the numbers, I mean, which blew me away as a home builder, $13 million worth of houses and renovations in this county in the last year.
Mm-hmm.
That's a bunch. And so, you know, that with that increase, us seeing that increase, you know, and also with our SPLOS, you know, when I was on the board 4 years ago, our SPLOS was $55,000. Right now it's 101. So I know there's a lot of people spending money in this county. I know there are people coming in this county, and I think that's going to help this whole process. But it's just going to take a little time for us to get there. Yes, ma'am.
I just have one more kind of continuation. I still would like y'all to consider the 14 again, because we do have reserve monies, and to appease the county. I mean, there are so many angry residents because of this drastic jump. Why not? It's still gonna be a jump. I mean, it's still gonna be 8 to 9% for me at 14. So if y'all could kind of get back up to the 13 next year, something kind of piecemeal it, so you have happier residents not complaining, because still in math is math, and people go, our county base is so high, and my tax mill went up too. It doesn't, it's hard to digest, and we know we want to support the school, we want it to go forward, but I think we might need to think about 14 minimum this year, and then creep it up over a few years, because the assessor side definitely hit us.
Okay.
And then there again, somewhere in your notes, in your books down the road, just, you know, a little asterisk somewhere. People are concerned about the age-specific, you know, exemption. That's, and like I said, it's not gonna happen right away, I understand that, but down the road, years down the road or whatever, just keep that in mind, because it's a growing trend. Out of the 159 counties, it started in 1980, and there was a huge percentage, and I'm waiting on the state superintendent to give me that information. And I didn't catch your name, but I know you asked me about the forms. Columbia County, if you go to the Columbia County website, and Richmond County, is the H-2A, you come off full at 65. Right. Columbia County, you come off full at 70. And I'm not concerned about anybody's finances, who pays more taxes, or, you know, it's just, this is what's happening. So that's all I'm gonna work on. I'm not gonna, but it's a snowball effect. It's very, and the spreadsheets are extremely overwhelming when you look at
I will say too, we're a county we don't have a lot of industry. And a lot of people want it that way. They don't want other people coming in. They like the small town life. But the flip side of that, if we don't have other streams of income, then it is us local taxpayers footing the bill. I was here when we had Mayfair Mills and Crowders and all that extra money coming in. And that's probably why back in the day our millage rate was low, because we did have a lot of that. But right now, we don't have anything. And this board has to look at that, and they understand that. And I think you, by nodding, I think you understand that. So either we want to be this way to where we want to be Lincoln County with no one coming in and quiet and peaceful, or are we looking at entertaining businesses coming in? So for us, that's not our decision. That's the Development Authority, that's the other areas. But I'm hearing you, and I hope you're hearing us. That's hard for us when we don't have those other stream of incomes. And you did mention about other counties, those who have the exemptions. And again, you mentioned at the end, you don't want to talk about their digest, but they have businesses, they have industry, they have funds, they have a lot of money coming in. Their millage rate is higher than ours, so they have those gaps that we don't have. But just know that this board is I'm going to present that to them, the amount of seniors we have, and looking at that digest. So yes, we're going to look at it, and we're going to talk about it. And I appreciate you bringing that to us. And that's the beauty of this forum is you tell us, and then we can look at it and then make some sound decisions. I will say, I've had a lot of projects that want to be funded, and I've had to tell them no already. There are some grade levels who wanted things. The answer is no right now. I would love to see something done to these older buildings, but right now, I don't want to pass it on to taxpayers. I want this building, because a lot of people come, I want it to be nice and painted and just looks good, but right now, we don't have that kind of money to do that. But again, what do we want as a community? What do we want as a community? And so my job is to make sure I cut those projects that need to be cut because of the situation we're in now. And hopefully we can get in a better situation so that we can do projects to make sure our county is well represented, and that when people come in, we have nice facilities. We do have a beautiful high school, but you do know the elementary school is 1955, so 70 years old almost. So we have a lot of repairs down there, and that's going to cost. And sometimes I'll get an unexpected cost of the sewer lines, thousands of dollars, unexpected. So that's why we have to have those reserved in case something like that happens. And that is an old building with a lot of issues now. So those are the things we have to have in the back of our minds when we make these decisions. And this board does know that.
Yes, ma'am.
I think all of you know me. For those that I guess will be listening on the video, my name is Christy Bryan. I'm a teacher here in Lincoln County for 28 of my 29 years. I made the conscious decision not to leave this county and go and teach in other counties where I could have made $5,000 to $10,000 more per year. We have an excellent school system. Yes, it does get me very upset when I see people saying negative things about our school system, because unless you are in the trenches, unless you have your boots on and you're going through on the classroom every day, you do not know what these teachers are going through on a daily basis. There was conversations the other day as to why, and this was at the board meeting, why do people move here? And the two top things that I think the board mentioned had to do with the school system and the lake. Now, I have heard that some people disagree with that. That there would be no one that would be moving here because of the school system. I actually reached out to some real estate people, and I asked them point blank, when you are selling land or you are selling a home in Lincoln County, what are you hearing from people? Now, people that have made their way, they're retiring, they've sold their property in other parts of the state and other parts of the country, they come here many times because of the lake. Because, and this, they said, because it's less traffic, because it's less crime. I loved one of the things that one of the real estate people said, The cost of living in paradise. You cannot have a bad school system and expect quality citizens to come in. Now think about that. And one of the other things that that particular real estate person said, and she lives here in Lincolnton, but actually sells many, many homes in Richmond, Columbia, other counties as well. And she said, having a good school system plays a major role into why people move here. Families ask other families about our school system. People brag on our school system. When people outside of our community talk about our school system and where they should relocate, they actually compare our school system to private schools. Now, when she said that in this text message to me, I actually thought about a couple of years ago when I had a child who came from a neighboring county, and they came to Lincolnton, and that parent actually said the exact same thing. That we were a public school, but it felt like it was a private school. I've had students in the past that also came, like from Florida. They said the best thing about, this is a student, the best thing about our school system is that we don't treat kids like numbers. We treat people, okay? We see you as a person. We have a lot to be proud of. And yes, it does get me upset as a former teacher, and also in the capacity that I have in my job now. I visit 13 different school systems. And when I go into those school systems, I have never, ever heard another teacher, another principal, ever say anything bad about our school system. I've had teachers that have actually said, if I could sell my house where I am right now and find a job in Lincoln County, I would do it. I would do it. Now, as far as impact aid, I shared all of that information because I felt like a lot of people were ignorant, honestly, about impact aid. I was ignorant. I didn't quite understand it. And I was shocked to see that 32% of our county is owned by the federal government. And what that report said, 271,000 is what we received last year, and we should have received over $2 million. That they came in, the federal government did, and confiscated that land when the dam was built. And our people that are living here, the property owners now, are suffering for it. I also looked into what is our population as far as people over 65. It's 25%. Now that 25% of those people do not own property. I mean, we do have some that are probably renting. We have some that are probably living in some of the apartments, the government apartments and all. But to expect 25% of the people in this county not to pay school tax is ridiculous. An example was given that about Gwinnett County. I looked into Gwinnett County. Gwinnett County and Fulton County, they have the highest property taxes. And one of the reasons why is because they do give a school tax exemption to, and one of the largest school tax exemptions to people over the age of 65. So there's a lot that we need to be looking at. One of also, the thing that I had never heard of, and I'll try to follow the legislation pretty carefully, is a Save Our Homes Act. A lot of people are upset about that their taxes are going up, but it's not because the school system is raising the millage rate. It is because of the assessed value. Sure. And Senate Bill 349 was actually passed by the Senate and the House this past year, and it says that it's limiting year-to-year increases in home valuation for purposes of property tax to no more than 3% per year. So at least our legislators are hearing not just people from Lincoln County, but people from all over the state. it's not just here where we're feeling the crush as far as property tax. Everyone's feeling that crunch. And I'm gonna be very quick.
Yeah, we got it. You're about out of time.
And Dylan,
Christie, on that, you just said,
yeah,
it didn't happen though. The
Did
3%
it not
limit
happen?
didn't happen, and that's where we got hurt. We are,
well, it's, they said that,
hey, but we can't go back. I mean,
No.
it's forward,
No.
right?
no. And the other thing is too, when you're looking at, mandates from the state and it's actually coming down, and it was House Bill 349, that they said, because I was trying to figure out, was it passed, was it not passed, and all. When it comes, I was shocked about this, in 1991, the state paid over half the cost of buses, okay? But covered only 17% of the $1.1 billion in expenses last year. So when a lot of people are talking about, hey, this is how it was when I was in school, well, this is 2024. It's not 1991 anymore. So we have to look at a lot of things like that. Having to do with the non-certified school personnel, a lot of the school systems that I'm going into right now, they are pushing, and I'm using that word, pushing their parapros, their bus drivers, their custodial staff and all to actually start to work not under the school system, but under other companies. And why are they doing that? They're doing that
To pay the
so
insurance.
that they will not have to pay that.
Yeah.
Now, what am I telling my people that are part of my association? I'm telling them, don't do it. You need to stay with the state. And you need to stay with state health benefit. Yes, it does cost the school systems more. But in the end, where people are looking out for themselves, yeah, school employees also need to look out for themselves as well.
Thank you, ma'am, for what you're, and let me just say too that as a board, and I think I can speak for the board, and that we are very blessed with our school system. We realize that. And we want our school to be the best of the best. And I've not been into neighboring schools, but I do know that we've got children coming from
Yes.
schools all around. We've got 25 kids here from Wilkes County that drive here every day from Washington because I don't know what's going on in Wilkes County School, haven't been there. But I know we have 25 students that drive here to go to school every day. We've got them from out of state that pay tuition to go to school here. We have them from Columbia County coming in here. We have them from McDuffie. So obviously something's going on in the other school systems for them to be coming here, and we know that we're blessed. Everybody's sitting on this panel as taxpayers, and trust me, none of us want any of the taxes to go up. That's the last thing we want. But at the same time, we have to maintain enough funds to operate this school and have some reserve funds just in case, like he talked about. We got a school building that's 70 years old. Another issue is we've got a high school building that I don't want to say nobody, because majority of the people don't want to tear it down. Nobody wants to take that building down. It's a historic building. We want to keep that building. So here's the thing. We've got Head Start in that building, and so we're getting some rent off of it, but probably not enough rent to maintain that building. So we have a building there that, what do we do with that building? Do we tear that building down and so that we don't have the maintenance on that building anymore? Or do we keep that building and keep the up? So you kind of had a catch-22 kind of thing with some of those issues because we got some older
What are
buildings.
the plans for the CTA building?
This is, right now, we're looking at either fixing the roof or either taking part of that down. We're not sure. The bus part will still be intact, but we haven't made a decision exactly on what we're gonna do with that CTAE building. But just wanted to let you know that the board is looking at all of this because we know that naturally we don't want to raise taxes for people, but at the same time, the majority of your tax increase this year is your assessment. If you look at how much the value of your property and the value of your house went up, that's where it's coming from. So,
And that didn't come from us. I like to say one thing, so, I've been very quiet today and listened a lot. But we are given a set of rules to go by, and we're trying to do the best we can with those rules. And, what we're finding is we really need to look like the lady in the very back. Julie, hey, Miss Julie. Yeah, you need to contact your representatives, your Congress people, and work on these things. That right there is what the impact aid is right there. So, we need to work our way up the chain. We're working within a set of rules that we've been given, and we're trying to do the best we can, and we really hold this school system in a tight budget, really is. But anyway.
I understand that, and I appreciate everything y'all are doing.
And I wanna take a picture of
Like I
this.
said, I'm not here to question any of the monies and stuff.
And there's a lot of things we would love to do that we just don't have the funds to do.
For the kids'
I mean, we
sake,
just don't.
You know, whatever they need, I hope they get it, you know, I wanna see it grow, but I'm here to state that again, because if you put stuff out, you know, in certain areas, all this stuff is just snowballs. I'm strictly working on the impact fees, or excuse me, impact aid. And I started at the top, and I'm still hoping that I find out that my friend's a friend of that project manager for impact aid. I have received a letter from Ossoff, and I've got all my notes ready. If I get a call back from a staffer, and I'm sure it's gonna be a staffer, that's fine. But, you know, if that bill drops next year, in 60 days, we don't know what's gonna happen. Things could really change. You know, rumor has it they're gonna hire Elon Musk, and he's gonna come in here and dismantle all the government funds because of so much waste. We don't know, so I'm just gonna continue to work on that.
Anyone else?
I've had my hand up, but unfortunately, she talked way by, it'd be under 3 minutes even when you told her. First of all, thank you, Hallie, for working to try to make cuts where you can. We appreciate that. I wanted to make one comment about the fact that, you know, we talk about, oh, the property values have gone up and everything else, and I just want to, and I think we all really subconsciously know this, but the houses are not worth anymore, the dollar's worth less. Our dollar means absolutely jack anymore, absolutely, it's just pointless. And I wanted to address, when you said that people say it feels like a private school here, I'm going to say that the way it feels like a private school in large portion is because it's a small school. I don't know how it compares to, I mean, I don't know how, I asked Jim, how do our scores compare to like Westminster or Augusta Prep or anything like that, because he was comparing. But when I look online, and if y'all know a way I can look and find it, when I look online to find school ratings and rankings, it is not just the academics, it's also how many people go to college afterwards, how many people in the county have college degrees, safety, you know, so it's not just academic. I would like to know, because we know we live in a good county, and somebody also mentioned that we don't want industry here, and I'd say, I mean, I don't want a Walmart here, I don't think we could fund a Walmart, I don't know, maybe. I don't think that anybody doesn't want industry. We were safe with Mayfair here, and then Gentech or whatever, I mean, they didn't make our county any less safe, and that's a Board of Commissioners question there about.
As far as the school system, I mean, feeling like a private school, I mean, I know we're our small system, but if you look at statistics, last year we graduated 90, 88?
High 80s.
Yeah, I think it was 88 we graduated last year. Wilkes County graduated 63 last year, and their school system is not much different than ours. If you go across the river to McCormick School graduated 36 students last year.
So the
There's a big
question
difference
to
in-
that then would be, I mean, when we graduated, it was between 90 and 100. When y'all graduated, I'm sure it was between 90 and 100. It's always been, so how does that relate to the number of students that we have? I mean, do we really have that, are there really that many more students here and just?
Didn't that chart say there was 1,182 or something?
But that's total, that's not
Yeah,
single.
that's
I'm
total,
just
that's
wondering
total.
if you
You divided it by.
So that, would- in other words, that would be an issue where the number of students themselves, I mean, I would think Wilkes County has more students, but the number of students themselves would not be the number to look at. It would be the percentage of students who graduate. I mean, is that?
Right, but I was just going by, you were saying that we're a better school because we're a small
Well, no,
school.
and I didn't say
But
better
we've got
school.
other small
I
schools in
just
the
meant
area that are
smaller.
not graduating.
You know, it's more like a private school because it's
So.
smaller.
Our graduation rate, and again, I don't have it, but it's in the 90s, 90 percentile.
Yeah.
Now,
That's
with,
what I feel.
with private schools, they're not held to the same standards as local school systems. So we don't know, they don't have to use the same standards.
Right.
So
They're
it's
held
hard to
higher
compare.
standards, though,
Well,
because
that's-
the parents won't pay for it if the standard's not higher.
That's discussable, but we know that we're held to some standards by the State Department of Education. And they have the freedom to do things we cannot do in a school system. So There, we can't compare because ours, the comparing is not there. We, you know, some of the things that we compare ourselves, end of course tests. They don't have end of course tests like our end of course tests based on standards, our standards. So it would be hard. Yes, we can do graduation rates and those type things. So again, that's a report we can do, but I don't know if they publish their reports. I don't know if there's a private school report that we could even get that information.
I tried Googling, I figured maybe I was typing something in wrong, but yeah, I can't figure out how to compare.
And I think also one of the things that a lot of people do not consider is that in a private school, and I attended a private school from K through 5, we take everyone, whether they can afford to come here or not. A private school, if you can't, and you mentioned that, if you cannot afford to pay that tuition, your child will not walk through that door at all. Now, I've also known private schools that when they have tested children, they will not accept them. So you've got to also.
Well, that's why we homeschool, partly because the tuition would be outrageous, especially with my with my taxes the way they are now.
But going back to the thing of that private school feel, and our students feel safe here. I mean, we have a very safe school system. I was in a neighboring school system not too long ago, and one of the reputations that we have here in Lincoln County is that we do have high standards of behavior, and they know that. And when I was teaching, and I would take the kids on field trips, and we would go places, it never failed. We always got compliments on the behavior of our children. So that is really what that parent was talking about too. And I'd also like to say, if you, and Michael was the one that can, put it out there, when our teachers, when they test scores come back and all, we are number 1, we are number 2 in the CSRA. We are always ranked very high. My sister, right now, my sister who teaches 8th grade language arts, she is number 1 in the CSRA when it comes to our system being compared to the other systems.
And I will say, next month at this board meeting, we will go over our assessment results. We normally have it sooner than October, but the math scores just came back about 2 weeks ago. And we normally get those scores in the previous school year so we can present it in August. But we will have AP scores, we will have our end of grade and end of test scores, end of course scores next month in October.
I'd like to thank y'all for your input. Okay. Yes, sir.
My name's Ricky Bell, and we moved up here about 16 years ago. I built 2 houses up here. And I had a house in North Augusta I just got rid of. My house in North Augusta, this house will fit in it 2 times over. My house in North Augusta, Edgefield, the taxes were 60% cheaper for a 5,000 something square foot house versus a 2,000 something square foot house up here on the water. I look at the concerned citizens on this board, and I keep looking at that. There's a lot of people struggling on that thing right now, saying that they are probably gonna have to move because they can't make the taxes. And my tax went up $1,580. You said 10% of what I got on the thing. Mine went from $4,400 to $5,900 for a 2,000 and something, 400 square foot house. That's pitiful right there. Dare and all these people in town here aren't paying nearly that. I pulled up many residents. There's people down the street with me paying $12,000 a year. And don't even have a kid. And this as far as not paying taxes, I don't agree with her. At 65 or 70, I've paid them 43 years. I think you should get taxes at least by 70 years off food.
Yeah,
I mean, that's just, you paid it for 40-something years. And
Not everybody has a state retirement.
I'm looking at houses. I'm helping on a house being built right now. I've got buddies building 2 houses up here. I've got one going on Indian Road I'm helping on right now, my buddy. I don't want to tell people to come up here because I know his house tax on a little standard house is probably going to be $3,000 a year on a little bitty house. Not even on the water. Just because I'm on the water, which you can't even call it water right now because it's down so much, but I get taxed at it that I'm on the water. would y'all, $5,900 for a 20-something square, 100-foot houses, that's ugly. That's $120 something a month, a week, house tax. Do I like the school system up here? Yeah, that's fine. But y'all are killing us one way or the other. I ain't saying the school board as much, but Dare and that bunch in town is killing us. I mean, people are, like these older folks ain't gonna be able to stay up here at this rate. And then I pull up a few houses in town that looks like it's a $700,000 house, and it's appraised at 200 and something thousand. It's several like that. It needs to be on a fair game board where everybody's paying the same tax. I know mine's gonna be worth more on the water, but these in town, and just some people, it all depends on who you are up here, you get taxed at a lot less rate. And y'all, I can go, I done pulled up 2 and I got 100 of them at the house I'm taking to Dare to show to it. It's pitiful, the way that is done up here. It should be fair across the board to everybody. I mean, you know, when I moved here, I love it here now, but it's, you know, y'all might get mad at me or whatever, I'm just speaking from my heart to let you know that I've got other people that still want to come up here and move. And y'all got houses, you know, Judge, y'all building a lot, there's a lot of houses going on up here, tax revenue coming in with all that stuff. People's stuff shouldn't be going up at the rate they're going up. So.
But commercial property is also.
I need to use restroom.
I'm gonna take a break, if y'all need to take a break.
Turn about.
If you go look and actually look at commercial property, and all, that might be something that you wanna look at too. As far as, and I questioned that, and I was told, and I questioned a real estate person, why would a house increase in value and not commercial property? And it's because commercial property isn't being sold. So there's nothing to compare it to and all. So,
He's talking about residential though.
I know, but I'm talking about commercial.
I know, but we're talking about residential, and residential's who's getting screwed.
But the thing is if your commercial property is assessed more and all, then that commercial property would also be paying more taxes. And it would take the burden off of, do you see?
But there's no business in it,
So-
The whole deal is.
Yeah, so that's not us.
Yeah,
I
that's
know that.
zero.
Look,
That's
y'all,
right.
the whole deal is, they've sold 5 houses on the street, and people from up north, that's great, they come down this way. Them 5 houses went from 1 to 1 million, or 800,000, 900,000, that was $500,000 house. These people are coming from up north buying these houses, sending us into and that's what he tried to tell me over there. Well, we sold these 3 houses on that right down the road. Big deal, that don't mean I can get that for mine until mine did sell for that. Mine shouldn't be up at the same rate with these other houses.
It almost sounds like unrealized capital gains tax.
And, yeah, and if that kicks in with the capital gains, it'd be people definitely late, all these late people I know will be having to try to go somewhere, James. I mean, y'all.
And I understand it, and most of that you're talking about is county commissioners. I mean, that would be the tax assessor and county commissioner.
Like talking to that wall right there.
And my dad is a county commissioner, but our taxes in town, a mile out from Golden Pantry, not on the lake, went up $1,000.
Yeah.
My mother-in-law's went up $1,000, she didn't live on the lake.
But y'all look at it, I mean, your groceries, everything's going up, but these taxes, mine went up 33% in 1 year. Is that stupid? And I go to a Dare, he smiles and he thinks it's cute. I don't think it's cute.
Well, here's the thing, and you know, maybe this is not the way to look at it, but this is kind of the way I look at it. Nothing increased for over 8 years. If you take the amount of money that you've increased in the last 2 years and you divide it, because it's been 2 or 3 years now, I think it's been 10 years now. It was 8 years it didn't increase, I think it's been 2 years since then. So if you take the amount of money that it's increased, and if it had increased every year, divided by, I mean, that amount divided by 10 years, that's how much it would have increased every year. It's been held to a minimum for so long.
Mine went up 3 years ago, Jamie, 100-something thousand, 3 years ago.
The assessment.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
3 years
It's still
ago.
not this board.
Well, that's not
I know,
the millage.
it's not that.
That's not the millage rate from the board, and that's what I'm getting at.
All I'm trying to say is, any way y'all can find it, cause I got other folks, I'm gonna talk about building, but I wouldn't wanna bring them here. I'd tell them to go to McCormick or somewhere like that, because McCormick is taking that off. My buddy's got a little bit bigger house than me right on the water in McCormick. His taxes are $2,000 and some cheaper, and he's got a bigger house.
Yeah, but McCormick has a grant from the state.
That's what I'm saying, though. He gets that grant, they get the grant, and I understand that.
And they got all Savannah Lakes money, all Savannah
Yeah,
Lakes
they
tax
do.
money.
They have a deal that.
That's
But
right.
all I ask is what folks around here's got to do, they gotta get with the DARE, and I don't know who's going around doing these assessments and appraisals. Just cause this dude down the street got Dawkins sold his house for over $1 million, I mean, boom. You know, and he just paid 600 for it, 2 years before, and he gets $1 million point something from somebody, you know, boom, they come in.
And I don't understand it, because you're right. People are coming in and they're paying crazy money for this property and these houses. And you're right. I agree with that 100%.
But it just seems that the tax base has grown so
Yeah.
high, that even at 14, if we can just stick it to 14,
That should be
I
an
bet
extra.
you're gonna
That's
not
still more
have to
revenue.
dip into the
It's
debt.
still more revenue.
And we have looked at these numbers, and that's why the $500,000 rollback is presented, because we felt like to maintain that we needed, instead of getting to 382, we needed to 586 to maintain. That's the board has sat down and looked at all this in depth. That's where the $500,000 rollback come from. We went up 2 mills last year. We decided that we could do it. We could roll it back this time. We didn't have to have the 790, or we didn't have to have that. That we could make it with the 586, but we knew that the 382 was going to put us in the red again. So we're trying to stay out of the red, because we've been there for a while. Trying not to pull into our reserve funds. So trust me when I say we have looked at this. We have studied this in depth. I know the assessment's gone up. Listen, I hate to even talk about my taxes because it's crazy, but at the same time, we're all dealing with this across the board. But this board has looked at this in depth as to what we need to maintain this school. It is not any extra. It is not any above and beyond. We are maintaining right now, because there are a lot of projects we would love to do. We just don't have the funds for. And so we're trying to maintain, and that's where this $500,000 rollback come from.
How much longer will the school bond be on taxes?
2037 is when the school's paid off.
2037.
See, that has nothing to do with the millage.
That has
That's
nothing to
right.
do with the millage.
Yeah, it doesn't have
If
anything
you
to do with
just
it.
add my school bond and my school taxes, it's $3,700. Not my house tax, just school. It's school bond and school tax.
Approximately 2/3 of your taxes
You
go
know,
to the
I
school.
just, you know, that's strong, y'all.
I appreciate you coming in, because, yeah, we do understand, and we are trying our best to look at that, because, yeah, I would love to be able to roll all mine back too, but it's just not.
And
it's not
hopefully inflation is gonna level out, and we will level out, and we can do a rollback,
We will.
so.
Hopefully that we're gonna see a huge decrease in inflation,
Yeah, really.
hopefully in.
Because my
in the
husband
next
hadn't gotten a
60 or
raise
70
for
days, because we can't,
The inflation.
it's out of control, simply out of control.
Well, if that's all from the floor,
Yes.
we're gonna move forward.
One more
Unless you
thing.
have any other question? Okay.
When we look at the budget, guys, teachers get a raise every 2 years, not from us, from the state with the state salary schedule. So I want you guys to know that as our budget increases, sometimes increases because of salary steps for all of our employees. So we have to look at that too, that the budget this year is gonna be different next year because of the teacher salary increases. And also non-certs get salary increases. So we look at all of that, and that's why I'm making the recommendation, based upon keeping equalization, based upon all the legislative things that you may not know, but that's coming down. As a new superintendent, I just attended a meeting, and there are veteran superintendents in there. Public education is going to get hit again in next year's legislation. Our lawyer, Corey Kirby, has talked to us several times, and he said it is scary for public education. House Bill 581 is coming out. And 581 is scary for this local Board of Education. We're going to be bringing some information back to you. We're going to post some things in the paper. I'm scheduled for a meeting in October with all the superintendents and the lawyers to just discuss House Bill 581. That's how complicated this bill is. And again, this board knows something of, I presented some of it to them, but it could affect public education for next year. Huge. So we have that in mind when we make this recommendation, and based on what we know now. It's not our goal to just see next year, but we have to look in the future, how we plan out the next 5 years, and with you in mind. And that's why I'm recommending right now that we actually decrease the mill rate from the 15.059 to the 14.59. So this board roll back the millage rate a half a mil, and I'm recommending that we roll back the school bond to the full rollback from 2.246 to the 2.06. So rolling that back to the full rate is my recommendation.
So I have a recommendation from the superintendent to roll back the millage rate and to roll back the school bond rate, the full rollback. Do I have a motion to do that? I have a motion by Mr. Heitman, second by Mr. Mongery. All in favor? Thank you.
Can I ask one question? On this new
It's up to the chair.
assessment I got, it had 2.026 on the school line. 0.2026 instead of 2.06. Just, because I got this up there.
Yeah, I think all those numbers have a 0 or 2 zeros in front of them, actually. And the decimal point, the decimal point moves over.
0.002026.
Right.
That says.
Can you pull it up?
2.06.
It's with the millage.
Very bottom.
Oh, I see what you're saying. It's supposed to be a 2 instead
I
of
just didn't know which one was right since they got your estimate.
I'll just look for that.
Yeah, we want to make sure it's
Go
right.
to the school bond, the next one.
Next paper down.
Yeah, the rollback rate, that's it, go back up. Yeah.
Yeah.
2.026.
Yeah.
You missing a 2 on this
What do I have, 2.6?
Yeah, your
one,
letter,
2.06.
Okay.
you put 2.06
Okay.
instead of 2.026.
Thank you for that.
Okay.
But yeah, full rollback,
Full
2.026.
rollback, okay.
I knew one was.
What? We're gonna change it again, don't we?
Yeah, Mr. Williams, can you go ahead and change that?
We're going to redo it, right?
Yeah.
Thank you, Janet.
So it's but it's still the full rollback.
Full rollback, so,
From the 2 point to the
So
2.
you're not
so-
gonna even consider the 14.07 I heard.
It's the-
Pretty much.
that's what they just voted on.
14.
So,
Could y'all figure, just what would that do even on like $600,000 house? What would that take?
I did that all, I mean, I did that in the presentation. So let's redo the motion.
Make a motion to
Make the
adjourn.
2.026.
So it goes from 2.246 to
So correct the motion, yeah.
2.026.
I
Okay.
think if I said 2.06
Okay.
to 2.26.
All right.
All right.
2.026.
Can I have your attention? Okay, I have a recommendation from the superintendent to roll the millage rate back a half a mil from 5.0579 to 14.5790, and roll the school bond back from 2.246 to 2.026. Do I have a motion?
So do I need to pull my first motion back? Or do we need?
You
to-
seconded it. He made the yeah.
Yeah, we never did vote on it.
He's correcting his motion.
He corrected it.
I'm correcting the
Okay.
motion, yeah.
All right, so I make a motion to approve it.
Second.
Okay, all in favor? Unanimous. The full rollback and any other questions from the board? Need a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second.
Thank you.